Hi, this is R. Priya, Assistant Professor, Department of Civil Engineering. I am going to handle the subject Environmental Engineering. So before going into the subject, let us see what we are going to learn in the environmental engineering and why we are going to learn the subject and what is the importance of the subject for our career. So as a civil engineer, environmental engineering paper is a very important paper. It has a lot of career opportunities. So before that, let us discuss one thing that many of you all will be thinking that environmental science and environmental engineering is similar, but it is not so. Environmental science is a paper where you will be studying about the environment, ecosystem, and the living organism that is present in Earth. But environmental engineering is entirely different. You will be learning about the water and its quality, and we have to prevent the water pollution that is happening to the environment. So this is the main purpose of the environmental engineering. So come, let's go into the subject. So let us see what is the objectives of environmental engineering. So if we see the objectives, basically environmental engineering is categorized into two main subjects. So one is a water supply engineering and other one is a wastewater engineering. In water supply engineering, you will be learning about how we are getting the water from the municipal corporation. So how the municipal is distributing water to our household works and what are all the various processes that they are carrying out in order to provide us a good quality water. So the first main objective of this water supply engineering will be to find out the source of water, that is a selection of source of water from where we are getting the water. For instance, if we see in Coimbatore, many of the houses will be getting the water either from the Sirvani river or from the Attikadavu river. So that is a source of water. So from which river we are getting the water is a main source of the water. So after that, the construction of intake. So from the river as such, you cannot distribute the water to the entire household. For entire house, we have to construct a intake structure near a river and we have to store the water over there. So after storing the water, we had to undergo various treatment process in order to meet the standards of drinking water. So after doing all the treatment process, the treated water will be stored in a storage reservoir. So after storing it in a reservoir, finally it is being distributed to the various household. So we are having various types of the distribution system for towns, for cities, for metropolitan cities and cosmopolitan cities. For each and every places we are having various types of distribution system. So based on those distribution system, we will be distributing the water to the household. So I have told you that there are two main categories of environmental engineering. One is a water supply and other one is a wastewater engineering. So wastewater engineering means, so after we are using the water from various sources such as industries, household, the wastewater will be releasing out from the household and the industries. So those wastewater will be having many toxic materials in the water or toxic chemicals will be presenting in the water. So it is our duty to reduce the toxic chemicals from the water and we have to release it into the land. We have to dispose it into the land or either to the river. So that is known as a wastewater engineering. So in wastewater engineering, you will be studying how to estimate the sewage generation from the household and how to design a sewer, then the type of various treatment process to be carried out for the wastewater that is coming out from the industries, then design of various treatment plants. So this is they will be studying in the wastewater engineering. So both together it is known as the environmental engineering. So here you will be studying about the water supply also and wastewater also. So both combined together is known as the environmental engineering paper. So seeing the career, so you'll be knowing about various government jobs, right? So in PWD you'll be having a various vacancies for those who have pursued civil engineering, because you'll be studying environmental engineering. So in PWD, so it is your main role to estimate or to design the various treatment process and to design the various distribution system, and you have to monitor the quality of the water. So this is why you are studying the environmental engineering paper in civil engineering. So getting into the main units, so here you'll be having 5 units. So in unit 1 you will be studying about the sources, quality and demand of water. So what are the various topics that you'll be studying is the importance and necessity of water supply engineering, the various sources of water, then their suitability of water and the choices of the source. Then next it comes the types of demand of water and how you will be computing the quantity of water. The next topic will be fluctuations in demand and the factors affecting demand. And you'll be studying about the population forecasting, how you will be forecasting the population and what are all the various methods to forecast the population. Then it comes the impurities in water. So what are the various impurities in water and how we have to collect the water samples for testing. Then it comes the physical test. What are all the various physical tests that are available to find out the quality of the water, what are the various chemical tests that are available to find out the quality of the water, and what are the various biological tests and the standards of the quality of the water. So these are all the main content that you will be studying in the unit 1. So let us see the first topic. So the importance and necessity of water supply scheme. So what is the main importance and necessity of a water supply scheme? Why we have to incorporate a system which is known as a water supply scheme? Okay, so we all know that 2/3 of human body is constituted of water. Not only us, the plants, animals and all other living beings are using water. So day to day life, water is one of the main important one which we have to consume it. So the water which we are consuming, it should be a very good water, it should be in very good quality, it should not contain any impurities. So in order to remove the impurities from the water and to maintain the standards, this water supply scheme, it is very important. The next one is the utility of water is enormously increasing, and without well organized public water scheme supply scheme, it is impossible to run our present life. Even a single day if we don't have water, then the whole system will be getting spoiled. The next important one is, in order to provide a wholesome water means the water which is fit for drinking purpose is known as a wholesome water. So in order to provide a wholesome water, it is very much important to incorporate the water supply scheme. Then we are using water for various purposes such as drinking, cooking, bathing, washing, etc. and etc. for household things. So in order to do all such works, we need water. So a good water supply scheme is very important for each and every household and also for industries to run day to day life. So next, coming to the water supply system. So what are the various processes in the water supply system is that the first step will be in order to find out the sources of water. So where is the source of the water? So from where we are going to collect the water is very important one. Then next it comes the collection works or intake structure. So what type of intake structure we are going to build is important parameter. So designing the intake structure is a very important step of a very important process of a civil engineer. A civil engineer has to design a very good intake structure. So there are various types of intake structures are available. So we'll be studying it in the furthest unit. And after collecting the water in the intake structure, it comes a very important process is the purification. So what are the various treatment process that you have to take into account in order to purify the water to meet the good quality? Then it comes a transmission. So after purifying, you have to store it in the storage reservoir. The storage reservoir, either it can be near the source of the water or it may be away from the source of the water. So you have to transmit the purified water into the storage reservoir. So after storing it in the storage reservoir, you have to distribute the water to the various household systems. So what type of distribution system you are going to follow, you have to maintain it. So these are all the various processes that we are going to follow in the water supply system. So let's see about the sources of the water. So the main source of the water are rainfall, water, surface water, subsurface water or underground water, and water from reclamation. So let us see one by one in detail. So coming to the surface water, so what are the various surface water that are available is, so the first one is ponds and lakes. So what is meant by a pond and a lake? So it is nothing but it is a depression which is formed within the surface of the earth. So when the depression when it gets filled up with water, it is known as pond or a lake. So the major difference between the pond and the lake is based on its size. So if the size of the depression is comparatively small, it may be termed as a pond, whereas if the size of the depression is large, then it may be termed as a lake. The pond and the lake mainly gets water from the surface runoff and from the springs. So coming to the quality of the water of the pond and the lake, the quality of the water is really very good. It has self-purification process, so it has a very good water. The larger and the older lakes has very purer water when compared to the smaller and the newer lakes. So let us see some of the advantages and disadvantages of the ponds and the lake. So the main advantage of the pond and the lake is a self-purification. So it does its own self-purification process. So it removes the suspended matter, then it removes the unwanted colors, and it removes the unwanted bacteria from it. So the disadvantage is that in some still water of lakes and ponds, there is a growth of the algae, weeds and other microorganisms. So this leads to bad smell, taste and color of their water. So this is one of the major disadvantage of the ponds and the lakes. So ponds and the lakes cannot be much preferable for the source of water for public water supply system. So the larger lakes can be preferred, whereas the smaller lakes and ponds cannot be preferred for the water sources. So the next main source of the surface water is streams and rivers. So streams, so those are the one which feeds water to the lakes and the rivers. So small streams are generally not suitable for the water supply scheme. So whereas large streams can be preferred for small villages and for hilly areas. So next, coming to the river, so it is one of the very important source of water for the public water supply scheme. So there are two types of river mainly present. One is the perennial river and another one is a non-perennial river. So perennial river are those in which the water is available throughout the year, whereas in non-perennial river the water is not available throughout the year. Okay, so perennial rivers can be used as a source of public supplies directly, but non-perennial river water cannot be taken directly from it. We have to build up a storage reservoir on the upstream side and we have to use it. So coming to the quality of the water in the river, so it is not much reliable because it contains large amount of impurities such as silt, sand and lot of suspended matters, and it also contains the disposal sewage either in the form of treated or untreated. So since river contains so much of contaminants, so we have to take proper care and we have to analyze it and we have to give the public a well treated water. So next, coming to the storage reservoir. So storage reservoir, it is very important one, because if the water flow is very low in the river, it cannot be taken directly for the water supply scheme, but because it will not satisfy the consumer demands. But if the flow is very high, then also it is very difficult to carry out its operations due to the devastating flood. So it is very important to build a storage reservoir such as dam, so in order to take away the water for the public water supply scheme. So storage reservoir is very important. So next, coming to the seawater and ocean water. So this cannot be used as a source for the drinking water or for household things, because these water is very salty and it contains many impurities. So this cannot be taken for the public water supply scheme. So these are all the various sources of water in the surface. So next, coming to the underground water sources. So the water which gets stored in the groundwater reservoir through infiltration is known as underground water. So we are using underground water for household purposes. So each and every house is having the underground water usage nowadays. So let us see what are the various underground water resources. The first one is the springs. So springs are the one in which when groundwater is brought to the surface by some natural means, that is known as a spring water. Okay, so by means of the spring we are getting water. Then next one is the infiltration well and infiltration gallery. So the groundwater is tapped by artificial means, by constructing the infiltration wells and infiltration galleries, and also by means of wells and tube wells. So these are the artificial means of saving the water. So in India, largely the system is very much useful, so it has a great scope in the future. So next, coming to the rainwater sources. So rainwater, we are saving the rainwater by two means. So one is from the rainwater, the water is coming from the roofs of the house and the dwelling. So water is stored in a small underground tank for the small individual supplies. So next one is from catchment areas. So by using a suitable lining material, we are making a catchment area, and by giving a suitable slope, the water is stored in a moderate size reservoir. So by means of this, the rainwater is saved and it is used for the household purpose. So it is also one of the source of water which can be used in a minimal amount. So next one is water obtained by reclamation. So by reusing the water, it can be used in a large extent. So the first process is desalination. So the saline or a brackish water can be treated and it can be used for the drinking purpose. So there are various methods that are used in the desalination, so such as distillation, reverse osmosis, electrodialysis, freezing, and solar evaporation. The next one is reuse of treated wastewater. So many wastewaters coming from the industries, so we can treat it and we can reuse those water in the industries, so that we can reduce the usage of the water. So let us have a small assessment. That is, we have seen a large number of various sources of water. So we have seen the advantages of disadvantages of each source. So let me ask, which is the best source of drinking water? So we have seen many sources such as surface sources, subsurface sources, and rainwater sources, and water by reclamation. So out of these, so which one will be the best source of drinking water and why? Okay, so this is one of the first assessment question. So the next one is, what are the various sources of water? So what are all the main sources of water and what are all the subdivisions of that? Okay, so in today's class, so we have seen about, so what is environmental engineering. What is environmental engineering? So why we are studying environmental engineering? So what is the main objective of studying environmental engineering? So what is the importance and necessity of environmental engineering, and why we want a good water supply system? So what are the various processes that is available in the water supply system scheme? Then coming to the various sources of water. So we have seen four main sources of water. So what are the various advantages, and what are the various qualities of the water in each sources? So this is all for this class. Thank you. Thank you.